Hello, New Covenant Community Church. Today we're going to be continuing our Advent series by looking at Genesis 49:10. And this is a text that's coming in the middle of Jacob's blessings to his sons, where he's passing off the inheritance. But before we go there, I just want to remind us of a few things. So we've seen thus far in the book of Genesis this promise of a child who is going to come. And so we saw in Genesis chapter 3, particularly verse 15, that there was going to be a serpent crusher, right? So there was going to be one who was going to be born to the woman, who's going to crush the head of the serpent. And then we saw in Genesis chapter 5, verses 28 and 29, that there was one who was going to bring rest. And then we saw in Genesis 12, 1 through 3, blessing to all the families of the earth. Then in Genesis 17:6, 17:16, and in Genesis 35:11, this one was going to be a king. Now, there's a lot more texts that talk about this idea of one who is to come, but those are at the forefront. And in Genesis 49:8 through 12, there's the promise of this king who is going to come. And so Reuben is the first child who's going to be given his inheritance from his father, so to speak, but he's passed over from this blessing and the covenant line that's going to go through him. So we would expect it to go to him because he's the oldest. Simeon and Levi are then the next oldest, but it's going to pass by them because of things that they did in Genesis 34. Reuben is passed over because of something that he does in Genesis 35. And then in Genesis 49:8 through 10, the fourth oldest, Judah, he is going to receive the promise. He is going to receive the covenant. And he's told in the middle of this promise that the scepter shall not depart from him, right, from Judah, nor the ruler's staff, so scepter, ruler's staff, basically the same thing, right? It's the thing a king would hold from between his feet until tribute comes to him. There's a little bit of an interesting, so some of your translations might say until Shiloh comes. The word Shiloh is a little bit hard to translate. It probably means something like until tribute comes to him, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. So he's going to be a king who rules, and we see that kingly idea here, the scepter, the ruler's staff. Earlier in the text, he's described as a lion. He's going to also be described as having been dressed in the blood of grapes, right? And so purple, right? So he's got like this purple garment, very kingly in appearance. So he's going to rule. So this one is going to rule. Then who is he going to rule? The peoples. He's also going to be, if you remember, he's going to crush the serpent. He's going to give rest. He's going to be a blessing to all the families of the earth. And he's going to be king. The one that they were waiting for is one who is going to rule and reign over all. Tribute is going to come to him. He is going to rule with his scepter in his hand. And his scepter, as the text says here, will not depart from him. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. His rule and reign are sure. And who comes from Judah, right? Who comes from this line of Judah here? Well, right. So Judah and his line are traced out in Genesis 38. And we're going to see that he has a kid by the name of Perez through Tamar. And then I'm going to skip some generations. But you get from Perez, it's going to go to David. And then from David, it's going to go through all of those kingly line, through Solomon and such. And then it's going to get to Jesus. And we see this when we get to Matthew 1, that genealogy in Matthew 1 that puts David at the center. So this one from Judah is going to rule. And he's going to rule all the peoples. He's going to give rest. He's going to be a blessing. And yes, because he rules, he is king. So I hope that this helps you love and appreciate King Jesus all the more.